County Community Foundation's Board Chair. Welcome to our 2023 annual meeting. We're so excited to be here with you this evening in the beautiful Yorktowne Hotel. I would like to start by thanking our sponsors, Barley Snyder, CGA Law Firm, M&T Bank, Gladfelder Insurance Company, Mayor Wealth Advisory of Janney Montgomery Scott, Traditions Bank, Wagman Incorporated, and the York Water Company. If you could please join me in a round of applause. When I look out at everyone in this room tonight, I'm so inspired by seeing so many of our donors and our fund holders who generously give to support our community. I see grantees who work tirelessly for the betterment of our neighbors and ourselves. And of course, our community partners who make this work possible. Truly, it takes all of us together to create a vibrant York County, and together we thrive. 2022 was our first year of implementing our 3-year strategic plan, and I am pleased to say that we made significant and meaningful progress toward reaching our goals. Last year, we awarded $7.2 million in grants, tying our all-time high record. We launched our Thrive program to help people with lower incomes gain economic mobility and awarded more than $730,000 in grants to projects that transformed their lives. Because of these grants, children will have support and education they need to grow. Adults have the training, childcare, and transportation they need to retain family-sustaining employment. And people of all ages are living in affordable homes and safer neighborhoods that support their well-being. We're so grateful for the generous donors who partnered with us to contribute $9 million last year to our endowment. This will continue to support our community for generations to come. To engage our donors and partners in our transformational work, we started Together We Thrive, a virtual education series. In this series, we engaged experts and local leaders to share what it means to build financial stability. We covered the critical role early childhood education plays in sustaining employment for families. And we focused on ways to overcome barriers to economic mobility. We committed to using diversity, equity, and inclusion as a lens in everything we do, all of our work. In 2022, our staff and board members embarked on a journey to strengthen our own cultural competencies, and we are continuing on that path today. YCCF designated $500,000 to our Racial Equity Fund to invest in advancing opportunities for all, and others joined us in their donations. I'm very proud to announce that the fund has awarded more than $150,000 in grants since it first began in 2021. Without a doubt, the biggest change facing the York County Community Foundation in 2023 is the upcoming retirement of Jane Conover, our president and CEO, in November of this year. We are grateful for Jane's leadership and congratulate her on her well-earned retirement after serving 40 years in the fields of community service and community development and human services. As all of you know, she's been a tremendous leader and has broadened our relationships in the community. She has built a strong team of employees and volunteers and strengthened our voice on important challenges that face York County. We're lucky to have plenty of notice so that Jane can continue to advance our priorities as we search for the next president. We've engaged Koya Partners, Diversified Search Group, as a search firm to help us with identifying her replacement. And we will be posting this opportunity in the next few weeks. While we're glad that we don't have to say goodbye to Jane today, I was going to say have a round of applause, but we already just did that. So, and speaking of retirements tonight, we want to thank 6 retiring board members for their support and guidance for the many years that they have brought their valuable perspectives to our board table. We're so grateful for their leadership and the impact that they have left on our organization and their footprints in our community. Please join me in recognizing Krista Dar, former board chair. Dominic Delacarpini. Michael Hahn. Jack Kay. Jeff Lobach, also a former board chair. And Maria Royce. In recognition of their service, we have selected a book for each of them and donated in their honor to the York County Library System. Thank you for your years of dedication and organization to our organization and to our community. We also want to thank nearly our 100 volunteers who serve on committees and assist us in our grant-making process. These individuals give generously of their time to help us award grants. They invest wisely, they help us be good financial stewards, and they make us smarter. Thank you. The retirement of these board members have created the opportunity for us to welcome new board members. And I'm pleased to introduce Harold Myers Jr., First Vice President and Chair of the Governance and Nominating Committee. Harold? Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ollie. Good to do the fun stuff today. So, this evening we are excited to announce 4 new community members that will be joining our board. These individuals will bring specific knowledge, perspective, and experience to our work. First up, I have Mr. Patrick Brubaker. He's a principal at Hammer Creek Enterprise with 20 years of corporate finance and private equity experience. Pat holds a BA degree in BA degree in economics and English from Amherst College and received his MBA from the J.L. Kellogg Graduate School of Management, Northwestern University. He is a current member of the YCCF Finance Committee and is a prior member of YCCF Investment Committee and York IT. Please welcome Patrick. We also have Cynthia Fruitrail, Senior Vice President and Chief of Staff for WellSpan Health. Cindy holds a bachelor's degree in English and a master's degree in Communications Studies. One of Cindy's main duties is to work with WellSpan leadership while making charitable investments in our community. Welcome, Cynthia. We'd also like to welcome Heather Maxfield. She's the Senior Vice President, Consumer Sales Manager for York and Northwestern Maryland markets at Fulton Financial Corporation. Heather's worked in various roles over her 23-year career at Fulton Bank. She is a current member of our Finance Committee. Please welcome Heather. We'd also like to welcome Jennifer Stetter. She's an Associate of Trust in the state's practice groups, including estate planning, estate administration, and elder law at Barley Snyder office in Hanover and Gettysburg. She graduated from Villanova University Charles Widger School of Law and Washington Lee University with BA American History and Journalism, cum laude. Welcome all to the YCC board, and we are thrilled to have you join our team. One role we play as board members is encourage others to consider YCCF as the place to leave their legacy. Liz Dellinger, chair of the Resource Development Committee, is up next to tell you about the community members who chose YCCF to carry out their legacy in the past year. Please welcome Liz.
Okay, thank you, Harold. Tonight, we honor those creating a vibrant York County through gifts to the Community Foundation. Your generosity, your foresight, and dedication are inspiring. Your gifts will be used to make York County a better place to live, work, and play for us today and for generations to come. Each of the special people we recognize tonight has a passion for this community. The foundation is honored that you trust us to turn your passion to our community into part of your legacy. We recognize and honor the most recent members of our 1749 Legacy Society, named for the year in which York County was founded. The 1749 Society recognizes those individuals planning to leave a gift to the foundation after their lifetime. By naming YCCF in their will, or as a beneficiary of retirement or a life insurance plan, our 1749 Society members know their charitable wishes will be carried out forever. Thank you for including our community in your plan giving. Last year, 17 new funds were established at YCCF to carry on their creators' legacies. By creating permanently endowed funds, these individuals and organizations have established a path to help sustain nonprofit organizations, help our community thrive, and continue funding their passions long into the future. You'll find a list of all of our new funds in the annual report that was at your seats. I'd like to tell you the story of one of our newest funds. Douglas and Lori Schaefer were introduced to the foundation through friends who are members of our 1749 Legacy Society. With a terminal cancer diagnosis, Doug wanted to work with his wife, Lori, to create their legacy together. They came to the foundation as their first choice for their philanthropy. Doug spent his career working closely with residential builders, and the couple knew they had an interest in housing. What they didn't know, however, was how exactly their fund could make the biggest impact. Enter Phil Woods, our gift planning officer. Phil met with Doug and Lori to help them answer this very important question. Phil spent time talking to them, learning about their goals. Their goals were to support affordable housing, homeownership, and prevention of homelessness. From there, Phil was able to provide them with some options tailored just to them. They could start a designated fund that would award grants every year to specific organizations they would choose that focus on housing, or they could create a field of interest fund to support a broader range of housing needs in our community. Doug and Lori really liked the idea of benefiting a variety of organizations while still directing the need their fund would focus on. They chose to start the Douglas and Lori Schaefer Housing Fund as a field of interest. They had total confidence that YCCF would steward their fund and award appropriate grants because the foundation knows which organizations are doing outstanding work in the housing area. Keeping people in their homes and housing concerns are one of the Thrive grant pillars and were included in grants from the COVID-19 Response Fund. Our outstanding team was able to open the fund before Doug passed, and I'm honored to share that the fund will award its first grants this year. I met Lori outside, she's here this evening, and Lori, from all of us at the foundation, thank you for trusting us with Doug's and your entire family's legacy. Your willingness to have a conversation allowed us to help you find the perfect solution for you and your family. Thank you. Our next speaker has spent the last 13 years helping carry on the legacies of our donors and provide community impact. I'm honored to introduce Jane Conover, YCCF's president and CEO. Please welcome Jane.
Thank you, Liz. I'm so glad to see you here tonight. I'd like to ask you to take a moment and just imagine yourself thriving. What does that look like for you? I hope it puts a smile on your face. I know it's going to look different for each of us, and I know my image includes a beach and some margaritas, so just a heads up. YCCF's vision is for a united community, a prosperous and growing community with unsurpassed opportunities for everyone to thrive. As I reflect on my time here at YCCF, I'd like to just share with you my ingredients for building a thriving community. 1, giving back. When we share ourselves, we give our life meaning and we build community. Yorkers' generosity stands out. At 62 years old, the Community Foundation is the 4th largest community foundation in Pennsylvania. In case you're wondering, it's Pittsburgh, Philly, Erie, and then York. York's givers have many faces. I want to share a couple of examples with you. John Harvelix Jr., known as JJ to his family and his friends, was taken from this life at 8 years old in a tragic accident. His parents, Dawn and John, always knew he was an old soul, and said if anyone was in need, JJ would give them the shirt off his back. When the insurance proceeds came in after JJ's death, the Harvelists talked to their attorney, Tom Schorb, about how they could use that money to carry on JJ's spirit. They aren't wealthy people, and they could have used that money in many different ways, but they decided to establish the John Samuel Harvelist Memorial Fund at the Community Foundation. His parents will now advise grants from that fund that will benefit organizations that embody JJ's values so that his spirit lives on. One of my favorite philanthropists is a 99-year-old who's thoughtful and strategic, and he's told me he wants to give away all his money before he dies. What he's decided to do is to build nonprofit endowments at the Community Foundation for the charities that he cares about, so that every year they will receive a grant from that fund in his memory way beyond his lifetime. To date, he has helped build 22 nonprofit endowments at the foundation, and he's not done yet. YCCF is comprised of over 650 different funds at the Community Foundation that were created around the passions of individuals, families, and companies. 2/3 of our funds are donor-directed. The other third is what I call York's Community Endowment. These are endowed funds that generate grant dollars every year to address York County's needs as they change over time. Some of them are directed at specific issues like environment or aging or children. Then there's the Fund for York County, which focuses on what are the priority needs of today. Right now, you heard that our priority is to invest in the economic mobility for low-income people. Volunteer committees work with our staff to develop high-impact grants. You too can also help build these community endowments and even have one named after you for $10,000 or more. The foundation has grown to nearly $200 million in endowed assets. I am so grateful. I want to just thank the donors again and again for helping York thrive for generations to come. The second ingredient for a thriving community is building connections, and that is the role of a community foundation. We collaborate with donors and community partners to invest in projects that transform lives and the community. With endowed funds, we have the privilege to be able to invest in grants to focus on persistent challenges so that we can achieve lasting results. For example, thriving working families need quality childcare. YCCF has partnered with other foundations, individuals, and companies to create a program that distributes financial awards to early educators. The Early Childhood Educator Awards program aims to attract and retain childcare staff during a staffing crisis that has resulted in the closure of 56 York County centers. In 2022, Community Connections for Children distributed these awards to 311 educators across York County. By demonstrating that increasing wages leads to greater availability of childcare, we hope to influence public policy that supports these essential workers. Thriving communities also have stable, affordable housing and safe neighborhoods. We are so excited to support a housing collaborative and a safety collaborative with multi-year grants for coordinators that are going to help enable the individual organizations participating in these collaboratives to do more together than they could do alone. The collaboratives will work to build strong service networks and pursue policy changes that will lift our entire community. Last year, we awarded 1,500 grants to 435 nonprofit organizations, as you saw, for a total of $7.2 million. Since we began, we've distributed $97 million in grants to the community. I want to just thank all of our nonprofit partners for all that you do to help our community thrive. And the final ingredient is ensuring opportunity for all. We were all born to thrive. A thriving community is only stable if prosperity reaches those that are often left behind. For YCCF, that means moving out of the boardroom and learning from those working closely on the issues that we seek to address. It means fixing inequities in our grant-making system and streamlining our practices so that more people can receive grants. And it means providing training dollars to build the capacity of the nonprofit sector to better serve diverse stakeholders. YCCF has expanded our diversity among our staff and our board and our volunteers and our grantees. We have increased the number of grants that have gone to new grantees and BIPOC-led organizations. We are also devoting time, as you heard, to building our own cultural competence, and we're just getting started. Looking ahead, YCCF will make an equity lens part of our DNA. We'll collaborate closely with YCA and the United Way to maximize our common agenda to transform York's economic future for all. We'll strengthen the capacity of our nonprofit sectors to innovate, collaborate, and thrive. And we'll increase York's community endowment by attracting forward-thinking donors in transformational philanthropy through our campaign to raise funds for the York County and Greater Hanover. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to help York thrive through my years at the foundation. My life is enriched by the people I have met along the way. And of course, I am so thankful to the board and the staff. They're outstanding, and I'd like to ask the board and staff to stand to give them a round of applause. It's a team effort. Tonight, we celebrate the 10th anniversary of our Embracing Aging initiative. Kathy Bollinger, the Managing Director of Embracing Aging and the Executive Director of Trove Street, has been a passionate champion for older adults and has evolved the initiative in powerful ways that has garnered national attention. I want to congratulate Kathy for helping us reach this important milestone, and please join me in congratulating her and in welcoming her to the stage.
Thank you, Jane, and hello, everyone. We are all aging, and nearly 40% of York County's population is age 50 and older. That is why we are passionate about making this a great place to age through our Embracing Aging initiative. And tonight, as Jane said, we celebrate our 10th year of working to improve how people experience aging in York County. However, the genesis for this initiative began way before that, 110 years ago. This is when donor Anna Gardner gifted her family's estate to the care of older single women. After growing the estate, a mansion was purchased and named the Hahn Home. For 40 years, the women residing there had their living expenses paid for by the Hahn Home. After the sale of the home in 2007, an endowment was established at YCCF. Understanding the demographic shift of people living longer, YCCF commissioned a study to assess the community needs and identify the gaps impacting the quality of life for older people. This study served as guidance to help create a York County that is not only both a great place to grow up, but a great place to grow older. Recognizing the opportunity to make a significant impact on many more people, YCCF established Embracing Aging as one of its high-impact initiatives, which officially launched in fall of 2013. So many people across all sectors have been involved in Embracing Aging over the years. People such as each of you, who have shared your wisdom, your time, your ideas, your expertise, and your passion in this initiative. You have helped us in our work to improve the livability of our community, to improve the quality of life for its residents, to reframe the stigma of aging, and to award more than $2.5 million in grants to programs serving people age 50 and older. Improving the livability means that we ask ourselves, does this work for people of all ages? If it works for someone who's age 8 and someone who's age 80, it will most likely work for everyone. This is important because you deserve to live more easily in your homes and communities as you age. That's why in February of 2020, Embracing Aging, with the support of our York County Commissioners, enrolled York County in the AARP network of age-friendly states and communities. More than 20 community partners have stepped up to take a specific role in making York County more age-friendly. Now, being part of this network provides a unique and exciting opportunity for all of us to work together to make real change for our residents, making York County an attractive place for us to live for the rest of our lives. Improving quality of life means that more people are thinking holistically about their aging experience, that they're planning for their changing needs, and that they're advocating for what is missing for them to live their best life, not only now, but in the future. Using our transformational philanthropy approach, we created a solution to assist with this called Trove Street. Trove Street provides valuable information to help you make more informed decisions about where and how you live. And you can read more about Trove Street in your annual report. Reframing the stigma in aging means that we dismantle ageism. You can help with this by purchasing anti-ageism greeting cards to send to your loved ones. We think it's time to reframe those birthday cards that poke fun at changes in appearances, abilities, and relevance as we grow older. Let's celebrate aging in a positive way. So we worked with local artists to create these beautiful greeting cards, perfect for special occasions or just to brighten someone's day. We thank Mindy Christian of Creative York, Joan Caruso, our community volunteer, and all the artists who submitted images for partnering with us on this meaningful way to reframe stigma on aging. Proceeds from the sales of the cards will help support the work of Embracing Aging and Trove Street, and the cards can be purchased on trovestreet.com. Also tonight, during the reception, you'll find that there's QR codes on signs. You can scan that and shop away on the website. So as you can see, the past 10 years, it's just been full of bringing people together, working collaboratively to make York County a place where all ages can thrive. But what about the next 10 years? The age-friendly plan is putting us on the right path. And just this morning, we held an interactive workshop with our keynote speaker to develop a strategy for engaging more partners for even greater impact. And you, too, play a very important role in what's next for Embracing Aging. My hope for this evening is that each of you leave here with at least one thing you can do to reduce ageist thinking and have an understanding of how you can help create a York County where all ages can thrive. And let me tell you, Carrie A is the right person to help us accomplish that. Trained as a therapist, Carrie A. Carpenter works as a facilitator and public speaker, specializing in ageism and dementia. She is the co-founder of the Anti-Ageism Clearinghouse, oldschool.info, with Ashton Applewhite and Ryan Backer. Carrie A. is an educator with the Eden Alternative and adjunct faculty member at both the University of Southern Indiana and Pacifica Graduate Institute. And she is also the author of the book, Healing Dementia. Carrie A. loves to travel for work and pleasure. She was a cast member on Dr. Bill Thomas's Changing Aging Tour and has been living part-time in a camper van with her family since 2015. Please join me in giving Carrie a warm York County welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me into your community. I am just in awe of how you all have come together and the amazing work that you're doing. I'm so excited to finally get to meet Kathy in person. We've been sort of internet fangirling each other for a while now. So really happy to be here. If any of you out there are like me and you love taking notes, and then the next day when you're trying to remember which cocktail napkin you wrote the website on that you were supposed to go to, I have you taken care of. I'm going to be offering a lot of resources during my talk, and they'll all put together for you already on a web page, and there's a QR code during the reception that you can find. So know that anything that I mention up here, you're going to be able to find there. I've got you covered. And in the next 30 minutes, I am going to help you to live longer, healthier, avoid dementia, strengthen your community, and save money. I sound like one of those late night infomercials, right? But you can have all of that for even less than 4 easy payments of $19.99. All you need is an open heart and an open mind. I'm doing the slides, yep. All right. I am alluding to ageism and its devastating side effects. And tonight, we're gonna break them down, and we're gonna explore simple things that we all can do to reduce our own age bias. We're gonna meet that goal that Kathy set for us. And in doing so, we're gonna create a more age-equitable York County. Now, I know for many of us, talking about bias can be hard. It sounds like y'all are already doing a lot of really good work around that from the presenters that already spoke. But talking about bias can bring up feelings of having done something wrong or being bad. But the truth is that when we grow and when we learn, we have to sometimes course correct and do things differently than we've done them in the past. We have to change how we've thought or how we've acted. And study after study shows that the ageist saying is wrong. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Life is all about growing. As Kathy said, it's about growing up and it's about growing older. And as we want to grow up and grow older, we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to change. So this tonight is a no shame, no judgment zone, because that shame gets in the way of us learning. It stops us from changing. And so I invite you to take the attitude of Anna Madrigal from Armistead Maupin's Tales of the Cities, and remember, you don't have to keep up, dear. You just have to keep open. Be open to the ideas that I share tonight about aging and how we feel about it. See where these ideas match those that you came into the room with, and see where they challenge some of your preconceived notions. Stay open, and then decide for yourself what you want to take away from tonight. All right. So first, we're going to start with language. And language can be a bit of a moving target, especially these days, because different words mean different things to different people at different times. For example, the word elderly used to have a respectful connotation, but most people now find it demeaning and dismissive. And senior, that one, it's still kind of up for debate. In different groups that I've attended, about half the people are on board, they identify with it, and about half folks really don't. Some folks love it, some folks hate it. And I want to be really clear, I am not here tonight to be the world police. That's going to get us back to that whole shame, judgment, stopping learning thing that I already said we were avoiding. What I do want to do, though, is share what I mean by certain words so that as we're talking here tonight, we're on the same page and we have an understanding. So when I say ageism, what I mean is any bias related to age. Any ideas, assumptions, or beliefs that we have about age. Personally, I'm really in love with the World Health Organization's definition that they launched as part of their Decade of Healthy Aging initiative. And that you can see on the screen, that ageism refers to stereotypes, or how we think, prejudices, or how we feel, and discrimination, or how we act, towards others or oneself on the basis of age. What I love so much about this definition is that it really encompasses how nuanced and tangly and pervasive ageism is. It tells us that it is in our thoughts, it is in our hearts, it is in our actions, both about how we feel and think about ourselves, but also about others. And this age bias comes from our experiences of people with certain ages, and others are picked up from the culture around us at large. So, for example, being bullied in middle school made me biased towards middle school girls. I thought they were all mean. That one still kind of, I think, is true. Haven't had that one broken. And Disney movies taught me that when I grew older, I had two choices. I could be an evil witch like Ursula, or a doddering grandmother like the fairy godmother in Cinderella. That's it, those are my two choices, evil or doddering. And ageism isn't just about olders. You're gonna notice in that definition, I said any bias related to age. And so what this means is that every moment of every day, every one of us, is both experiencing and perpetrating ageism against others and against ourselves to some degree. I know that that can sound really daunting, like, wow, downer. But it's not a downer, because what that means is that we all have an experience of ageism, and so I kind of call it like the gateway-ism. We can tap into, we know it doesn't feel good to be judged incorrectly based on our age, and from there we can actually think about other identity factors that it wouldn't feel good to have snap judgments made on, and making ageism a really powerful intersectional tool to help address other biases, because this is not a zero-sum game. So when you were a child and you were told that you were too young to do something that you knew you were capable of, that was ageism. And when I blame my tweaky back on getting old, that is ageism. And a really easy way to start, this is your first tip to meet Kathy's goal of one thing you can do to reduce ageism, is any time that you hear the word young or old in your own head or in the world, just ask, what do you mean? Because so often when we say young or old, it isn't what we mean at all. We're not too old to do that yoga pose. We're too smart and know that getting injured doing something that we shouldn't do today isn't worth not doing yoga for the next 6 weeks. And we are not too young for that job that we know we're really capable of. It's something else that we're talking about. It's a placeholder. And when we get curious about what that placeholder is, we undo ageism. Because ageism is everywhere and touches everyone. And it cuts both ways. And it exists in the world and in between our ears. Okay, so we're getting there. We're getting through all the little pieces of that definition of ageism. So we know it's any bias based on age. We know we got thoughts that are ageist in our own head, ideas about ourselves and about others, that I'm too old for that haircut, external ideas about others. One I ran into a lot before the pandemic was, oh, people in long-term care can't use Zoom, they can't join Zoom calls, so they just don't get to attend events. COVID proved that one wrong. I've been on tons of Zooms with people living in long-term care. Love when things can get, sort of dismantled that way. Another facet of ageism we want to be careful, we want to make sure to define is both unconscious and conscious bias. So we can be aware of the ideas that we hold about the biases we have. This is called conscious or explicit bias. But more often than not, these ideas exist just below our awareness. For that example of, the evil witch or the fairy godmother only being your only choices, I didn't know that explicitly as a child, but I felt it. And if I didn't become aware that I needed a bigger range of archetypes to move into as I got older, I would have thought I had to only pick one of those two. All right, so we've got unconscious or implicit bias. That's what that's talking about. Another easy way to think about conscious bias or that explicit bias is ice cream. I love peppermint ice cream. I am consciously and explicitly biased towards peppermint ice cream. I will tell you I prefer it above all other flavors, and I will always order it. All right, so that when you're thinking about conscious bias, it's these ideas that we know we have, we'll say we have, we'll stand by them. Unconscious or implicit bias, an example we're going to use for that one is shoes. I like to keep it nice and light with our examples. So I was looking for a pair of comfortable yet professional flats, and as I was looking online, I came across this brand, Birdies, and they looked pretty good. What I had not noticed is that brand had been advertising to me on social media ahead of time, so when I stumbled across their website, it felt a little better. It felt a little more familiar. I had been unconsciously biased towards those shoes through online advertising. Now, luckily in these two examples, there is no harm done. I really do like peppermint ice cream, and the shoes ended up being okay. But when these ideas start being about other people and their identity, and we're having an idea about who they are that isn't really who they are, it can be a lot more damaging. But that hopefully breaks down the difference between conscious and unconscious bias. So who cares if somebody else has an idea about me that's wrong about my age? Why does that really matter? That's their problem, right? Not mine? Wrong. It's all of our problems because age bias is being shown now in study after study. There's an amazing researcher on your thing, Becca Levy out of Yale, who's really showing in a quantitative way the impacts of age bias and that there's all kinds of tangible side effects. It harms our health. We are sicker when we're ageist. It really cuts us off from community, the exact thing y'all are building here together, and it robs us of a lot of economic opportunities. So, how does age bias damage our communities? Well, you may or may not have noticed, I don't know if it's conscious or unconscious for you, but we are a highly age-segregated world right now. Everywhere we go, we're put into a box because of our age. Most institutions have some kind of set age limit, either explicit or implicit. Start small. We start preschool or kindergarten with folks, in our same year of age, and then we stay with them our entire childhood and all the way through our education, which means that we tend to enter the workforce with people our same age at similar levels of jobs, and we work through our career with people who, obviously there's outliers, but who tend to be our same age, and then when we get to 55 plus, there's all sorts of places for us to live with people who are our exact same age. And you can sort of see there's all sorts of institutions. There's clubs for folks who are only 21 plus, but then, if you get over 50, you might feel a little weird being the only one of that age there. We get really used to being with people who are our own age. And I get why this happened. Age is a super easy way to delineate groups of people. It's a literal number. We can divide it. It's super easy. The unintended consequence of equating age with other things like ability or maturity or skill is that we end up structurally segregating ourselves by age. And when we do that, we don't get used to having mixed age relationships. We sort of lose that ability. We think it's weird, and we unconsciously, the shoes example, not the ice cream, start gravitating towards people of our own age because we mistake the comfort we have around them for an actual affinity. So what we need to do, and when we do that, we lose out on the opportunity to really deeply connect with each other and support each other. So we want to mix it up. The easiest way, here's tip number 2 that you can choose for Kathy's goal. Find something that you like to do and find a mixed age group of people to do it with. Or if you're putting something together, make sure all ages are present. For me, I love taking a pottery class at our community pottery studio, and I take the one at Tuesday at 10 a.m. because it gets a really fun group of, I'm lucky that my schedule I can play with it a bit there, and I get a really cool group of all sorts of different people from different ages and different backgrounds in that. Because when we don't connect across ages, why do we care if we're age segregated, right? When we don't connect across ages, it exacerbates isolation and loneliness. And I saw y'all have a great banner about May being Mental Health Awareness Month. Loneliness is a huge mental health epidemic right now, and having more mixed age relationships gives us access to more people to connect with, which is going to help us thwart that loneliness. It also helps us to share resources across age lines, especially knowledge about what it's like to get older, so that we don't have to keep reinventing the wheel for everyone on their own. We can share what is joyful about getting older, what is hard, best practices, and really help each other and support each other through this. Because living, which is synonymous with aging, the only people who aren't aging are dead, just want to make that one really clear, living is no easy feat. And it's made even harder when we try to go it alone. So when we're all included, we all win. And you are so lucky to have had a decade of the Embracing Aging initiative here in York. Y'all have such a great head start with Kathy really helping, and her team helping you all integrate all ages into your different initiatives. Because as hopefully you're seeing, when all ages are brought to the table, we can do so much more. Because when we come together, we're going to strengthen any goal that we want to achieve when we have, a more diverse group present. That goes for age along with all other forms of identity. All age-inclusive communities are way more resilient. And one of the best ways to combat age bias, or any bias, is contact with the person that's perceived as other. So when we hang out with folks of mixed ages, what ends up happening is we undo our own age bias because we recognize that not everyone fits the stereotype or the mold. And then that's going to make us more comfortable hanging out with people of mixed ages, which is going to reduce the bias more, and you can kind of see how it's a really virtuous cycle there. And then, what happens is then we have more connections across the community. Community is strengthened, and this leads to a lot of savings in healthcare and social service costs because we can all support each other. Which goes into our next point, that ageism is unhealthy. It harms our health. Every day, doctors don't treat and undertreat due to the unconscious ageist bias. Whenever you hear, "What do you expect at your age?" Or if you enter a room with your adult child and the doctor talks to them instead of you, that is ageism getting in the way of care. and it compounds for folks who've had less access to good health care for other reasons. Thought experiment. Any doctors in the room? This is one I would love for someone to try. Use birth years instead of age, and put it on the second page of the medical chart so that you're not biased before you even walk in the room. Like, oh, okay, I'm seeing a 72-year-old. I have all these ideas about what a healthy 72-year-old looks like, and you don't see the person in front of your face. Using birth year instead of age is really helpful outside of the doctor's office, too. It's a really great tool to bypass that quick assumption of, oh, I know what 42 means, I know what 56 means. So, for example, next time someone asks you your age, do what I do and tell them when you were born. So if I tell you I was born in 1986, you're likely going to think about the Challenger tragedy. You might do some math and realize I came of age in the shadow of 9/11. I entered the workforce right as the Great Recession hit, and all of these things really shaped who I am. They do tell you a bit about me. My birth year has been mine my whole life and will be my whole life. And it has a lot more to do with my identity than my age 36, which I only have for about another week. And all that's going to give you is access to your idea of what a 36-year-old is, should be, does, etc. It doesn't really tell you much about me. So what we want to do is we want to celebrate change and advocate for treatment when it comes to our health. Because we get in our own way too. It's not just doctors undertreating. We get in our own way when we don't seek treatment and we chalk health problems up to age. Things like incontinence, changes in hearing, eyesight, pain that's impacting your mobility, those are things to seek quality treatment and care for. And I'm sorry, because of ageism, you are going to have to advocate for yourself, but I'm working on changing that. On the flip side, wrinkles. They don't cause any physical pain. They don't limit our ability. They actually enhance our ability to show our emotions. And yet, they get all sorts of creams and injections and peels and lasers and money thrown at them. And then you take something like incontinence, which is often treatable, and that's supposed to just be tolerated as part of getting older. This is not okay. So the next time you blame your sore knee on age, I want you to ask yourself, does your other knee hurt? Because it's the same age. And more importantly, it's lived the same experiences. And we now know a lot of emerging research is showing us that a lot of change once thought to be purely biological is really influenced by our attitudes. So, and contrary to a popular ageist belief, you can continue to build bone and muscle mass our entire lives. As Kathy mentioned, I started a clearinghouse of anti-ageism resources called Old School, and we host weekly Ask Anything office hours on Zoom, Wednesdays at 1:30. I hope you'll join us. They're a pretty good time. And one of our participants shared a story. They were sitting next to a 90-year-old on a chairlift going skiing, and so they, of course, asked the question, what's your secret? How are you still is a good cue that there's some ageism there. How are you still skiing at 90? And then the 90-year-old looks at him and says, don't be an idiot. And so we were like, that's really good, like genuinely, that's really good anti-ageist advice to sort of break down some of our own age bias of wanting to be the super senior who can water ski barefoot at 72, or 99 or whatever. And so we were like, we want to come up with a way to share this wisdom, but that it's not a negative of don't be an idiot, because while a good punchline isn't super inspiring, and thankfully, in our office hours, there's this guy, David Wilson, who is at Old School Moves on Instagram. He kind of went viral. He's a personal trainer. So he knows a lot about this stuff. So we were thinking about it. And what we kind of came up with was a campaign that he's going to start that's Move Today for Tomorrow. Think about the things you want to do tomorrow in 5 years and 10 years. And do things today to help you get there. Just like my yoga example earlier. Don't do something that's going to injure you and stop you being able to do what you want to do tomorrow. But do take care of your body and keep it fit so you can keep doing the things that you love to do. Move today for tomorrow, or don't be an idiot. So you can start dismantling your own age bias. Also, not just advocating for yourself and seeking treatment, but celebrating some of the changes that come with age that aren't harmful. So I was really distressed by the suggestion of my dermatologist at 22 to start prophylactic Botox. So that's before I got wrinkles, start paralyzing my face so that I never get them. I have a big history as a sick kid. I hate doctors. I wanted a different option. And thankfully, I came across this amazing artist in Israel who had actually taken molds of her wrinkles and created wrinkle jewelry. And I blew my mind. I was like, wait a minute, if her wrinkles can be gilded and beautiful, like, it was just such a mind flip for me. And I, as you can tell, have a penchant for like dressing up and sparkles and fun things like that. So I've taken to, you might even have noticed tonight, it's very subtle, I have gold eyeliner on my smile lines. And I'll tell you, when I look in the mirror to get ready and I have to make the wrinkle and then fill it in, like, where is it? It really is teaching me to love them, to see them as this sparkly, fun accentuator of my eye instead of this thing that I need to medicate away. And for everyone, it's going to be different, the way that you want to celebrate your change. There was a woman on the roof here last night that had awesome white hair with hot pink and purple in it. And I was like, yeah, like, that's so fun, rock it. You have this hair you can add color to easy. And it's not about, you got to do what fits your personality. Ashton Applewhite, who we mentioned, has a great shirt that says the word invisible, because there's a whole thing of, women, as women, we become invisible after a certain age, but the IN is crossed out. And I like that too, as a way to say, no, I am here and you will see me and you will notice me. So celebrate those changes that come with age. And I've also added fairy hair to my hair, so I have silver and gold added to it to sort of celebrate my silvers that are coming in and the gold that's been there since I was a kid. And I'm not even going to get on the subject of hair dye because that has massive economic consequences for women and is a whole nother talk. So you dyeing your hair, go for it, totally necessary. Or if you're rocking your gray, go for it, high five. I am here for all of the things. It's more about how you feel about yourself and finding things that you can celebrate. Celebrate what's right for you. Because culture changes one person at a time. And aging, as we've said, is living. From the day we die to the day we're born, we are aging. It is not something only old people do. It is something that we're all doing, because being anti-aging, as I've said, is death, which is ironically the whole thing we're trying to avoid with all of the anti-aging nonsense, but logic doesn't stop a billion-dollar industry. Because to live is to age, and we can pretend otherwise, or we can confront ageism. We can strip away our reflexive dread, we can stop discriminating against our future selves, and we can enable healthier, more engaged, and more joyful futures. The best part about this is that when we reduce our own age bias, it has been shown to increase lifespans for an average of 7.5 healthy years. That was that whole thing in the beginning where I sounded like the infomercial, but think about that. And the studies show too, you only have to have accurate ideas about aging. You don't have to be a Pollyanna who's like all on board. You don't have to be, you don't have to be me. You only have to come halfway there. And you get 7.5 more healthy years. Isn't that what we all want? It also reduces your chances of getting dementia, and the most recent research out of Yale was actually showing improvement in mild cognitive impairment, which is pretty awesome. Which also helps us with the last fact that ageism is expensive. So by being less ageist, we are going to save some money. Ageism is professionally and economically devastating. How many of us have had the experience early in our careers of having youth be conflated with incompetence, laziness, entitlement? To be perfectly honest, I bet you I experienced that a little bit tonight. I'm sure before I started speaking, at least one of you had the sneaking thought in the back of your head, why is this girl talking about ageism? Why does she care? And what does she know about aging? And before my fellow millennials and I were ruining everything, it was the Gen Xers, and before them, it was the long-haired hippies, and now it'll be Gen Z next. But the truth is, when you actually look into this, when you look back, as far back in recorded history as we go, there's been the trope of the young people ruining everything. It's about a life phase that you're in where, when you are coming of age, you want to shake things up. You're asking questions. You are job hopping. It's something that happens developmentally for every single generation that comes through. So kids these days, always going to be here with us probably till we stop it. And then on the other side of it, how many of you have experienced being told you weren't a culture fit as a euphemism for you're too old for this job? Or being labeled as not tech savvy or innovative enough because of your age? What's happening in the workplace is that there's old versus young framing, and all it does is foster age conflict that disempowers us at both ends of our careers. It delays them starting, and it cuts them short. forced retirements and things. If we just threw out the generational labeling and worked with each other, we could create much more vibrant workplaces. Because the costs of ageism are high. It contaminates hiring, it delays starting careers and cuts them short. It costs the US economy an estimated $63 billion annually just in healthcare costs. Not to mention the $17 billion spent on anti-aging products and services. Imagine if we spent that much on anti-ageism, how helpful that could be. Reducing our age bias offers us a longer earning span because we're going to have realistic ideas about our longevity in our career and be able to think thoughtfully. I love the work the Stanford Longevity Center is doing on a century life and thinking about what does our work look like if we're moving towards 100-year lives? How do we want to be different? And everyone's going to save time and money because ageism makes us sick. And if we go to the doctors less, we need less hired help. And businesses are going to save money because it's a really great retention policy to make sure you treat people of all ages well. Younger workers are going to hop ship before they get older. If they see older workers getting cut out, they're going to hop while they still can. So we're going to have lower turnover, and it's going to give us more disposable income because we're not spending so much on all those creams and peels. And so at the beginning of this journey, I promised you to help you live longer and healthier, avoid dementia, and strengthen your community and save money. And by confronting our age bias, all of these are possible. People, as I've said, with accurate ideas of aging live 7.5 more healthy years. And they're going to have more friends because they aren't confined just to their single age cohort, and more money because the realistic ideas about career length and path and not wasting money on anti-aging products and saving money on healthcare costs is going to all add up. Because it all weaves together, these health impacts, the community impacts, and the economic impacts. And they create, right now, they're in this vicious cycle where they're all impacting each other and bringing each other down, but we can shift that, and we can make it a virtuous cycle. But it starts with each of us doing the work in between our own ears to undo the age bias that has been programmed there without our permission. Then we have to take that work out into the world and make our community a less ageist place. And y'all live in a place with a great head start, which is awesome. But if you aren't sure where to start for yourself, you're going to check out oldschool.info. It's on that QR code. And there you'll find all of the free anti-ageism tools that are on the internet. Basically, we scoured the internet and created an online library for you of a whole bunch of free stuff. There's a lot on there. It was really, when we started 5 years ago, we had 72 resources, and now we have over 300 because people are figuring out that it's time to end ageism, which is awesome. So to make it simpler for you, as I said, I made that quick start guide, and you can grab the QR code when we head into the reception to see it there. And people learn in different ways. I've got lots of stuff on there for everyone. Before we part and get to go to the fun part of the evening, the socializing and whatnot, I want you to take a moment, and I want you to reflect on all that we've just shared. And I want you to pick one thing that feels right for you to commit to. Will you gild your wrinkles with me? Or maybe add some sparkle to your hair? Will you say your birth year when you're asked your age? Will you ask, what do you mean when you hear someone use the words young or old? Will you find a mixed age group to do something with? So maybe you'll stop sending ageist birthday cards and grab some of the ones from Trove Street and send those instead. Come join me at office hours and talk about ageism. You could give a presentation on ageism. Kathy gave we have DIY workshop kits at Old School we created, which Kathy was one of our first piloters of. The bottom line is start small. Anything you do helps move the needle. This is all incremental, and there's no right starting place, and it is never too late. Thank you very much for having me with you tonight.
Thank you, Karia, for making us laugh and for reminding us to question our own biases and how ageism impacts not just ourselves, but our community. I would like to sincerely thank all of you for coming here this evening and joining us, and I invite you to help us celebrate 10 years of Embracing Aging Initiative in a community where all ages can thrive. So we'll have the reception in the back. Thank you.